edition of the Shirlma Show. And with us today in the house is Mfontoh Blaise Abengwa Shu, the managing director and founder of the business called Think Fast BC. Welcome to the Shirlma Show.
The pleasure is mine, Shirlma. But before that, I want to say Abenui Shu.
Okay.
It means God sent in Bafut.
Okay.
So I just wanted to point out that, and I'm really honored and I'm humbled to be here. I love what you do, and I really appreciate every single step you've been able to move through with this vision.
And thank God for sending you here today.
Amen. Amen.
So we are really glad to have you. So
Amen.
anyway, before we actually go deep into our conversation, can you tell me a little bit about Abenui?
Abenui is simply an ordinary young man who actually sought to see how he can be able to use his God-given intelligence, skills, and talent to see how he can be able to create extraordinary events in life that impact the lives of people. So there's nothing big or much about Abenui. He's just simply a person that can be able to use stone to shoot Goliaths in the course of life.
Now, when I was reading about you, right, I found you actually write that you needed to fine-tune your talents in order to do what you do today. So why was it important for you to fine-tune your talents?
You know, there's a lot of wisdom I learned from somebody, I don't know if you know, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali is somebody I draw a lot of inspiration from, and he said something. You could have the knowledge of what you're doing, but if you do not have the capacity to move on day in, day out, to fine-tune what you do, you would never be the best or the better at it. So I saw a need for me to be able to fine-tune skills or talent. You must always know that life is a moving goalpost, as I always call it. As you're walking further, the goalpost is changing. So you need to always move that goalpost by fine-tuning skills and talent, understanding that change is a constant.
Wow.
So that's basically it.
Yeah. So another thing that I noticed about you is the fact that you actually were dissatisfied about the agricultural practices. Like, what was really the pain point?
I would just want to move fast track to the results. Okay. Today we see supermarkets rationing groundnut oil. If you are going to Carrefour, if you are in Spa, one family buys 1 groundnut oil. And this is the result we have today. We have a system that does not valorize what is valuable. And that's the key problem. I would like to talk a little bit about my failures in agriculture. I did a 6-hectare farm in Compania back in 2017, and I had a very, very big challenge. The first challenge I had was that first, soya beans was a very, very highly used commodity. In fact, it's the protein, the highest source of plant-based protein. Everybody uses soya beans in one way or the other, directly or indirectly. Now, I had a negotiation with, I won't call the company, and we struck a deal for the sale of soya beans. Back then, we were giving it at 250 francs per kg. So, with that, they called me, I think, when we'd already done through with the harvest and everything, and they told me, we can't go for 250, we can go just for 165. And you know, when you're doing soya beans and you're doing soya beans organically, by then we're working with Sonedisal and we're using agro fertilizer. So we first of all looked at what we've invested. There's no market. There's no structure or platform that can be able to help sell this product. There was a big pain because Cameroon, as a country, we haven't got a platform whereby people can be able to say, this is what I have, this is what can be sold to the industries for transformation, and this is what we can be able to sell at. We do not have a linear process that is an all-Cameroonian process. That's why I always think of Made in Cameroon as just something which is just spoken about, but we do not have it in actual or real terms. So when we want to look at the truth, the first thing about the truth is that as Cameroonians, we need to tell ourselves the truth. And if we can tell ourselves the truth, change becomes evident.
What's the truth?
The truth is that we have a lot of work to do. The truth is that we are not there. The truth is that all what we say, we need to check from within and not just as a matter of living out words.
So what did you learn from that experience? Because I can imagine actually cultivating a product because you're hoping to get some 250 per kilo.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, you end up with something less than even 200 pounds.
With that, we did, because I'm someone which, if I fail, I would like to point out the road that, hey, I failed here,
Yeah.
and the next person coming, do not fail there. We went off to do the Cameroon All Farmers Conference. I think it was a conference whereby we rallied farmers and we wanted to teach a different level of agriculture, which is a little bit safe, and that's reverse agriculture. You need to be able to sell your products before you want to engage in the cultivation process, just like what is being done in Costa Rica, Mexico, and other agricultural vicinities around the world. You sell before you want to get engaged in the production process. And I would like to, I'm grateful to God that I was in a project, one of the World Bank's project in Cameroon, who actually taught me that process, the project de investment de marché called PIDMA. And it was something which worked, and I believe is the most important thing that can work if Cameroon can be able to set up platforms, like multiple platforms like PIDMA, that is going to help show the farmers in seeing how they can be able to have a concrete, ready-made market for what they produce.
Yes, but when you're talking about having a ready market, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen situations in the agricultural business where
Mm-hmm.
people sell, like very big companies actually.
Yeah.
They actually sell before they produce,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what happens is that at the end of the day, things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the client actually disappears. You sign a very good contract and
Exactly.
the client disappears. So how do you handle that? Because especially, let me say, if with the small farmers, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, and it's a two-way thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are also times that the companies also that want to finance these small companies,
Mm-hmm.
they actually come, sign a contract with the smaller guys, and
Mm-hmm.
now at the time of harvest,
Mm-hmm.
instead of these farmers selling to them, before they know it, they've already sold the products also to another person. So how do you handle this? Because
There's something which it's called like much more of a backward integration model when you're getting into agriculture. If you want to work with a farmer, you need to be able to know that there are certain levels of uncertainties that you must control. The first is the level of education. You have to provide that. And I love what Telka Cocoa is doing with these farmers. They provide education for the farmers. They'll provide mechanisms that the farmers can be able to use. And this just makes the farmers stick with their model and not think about any other thing. It's like you giving comfort to someone. The person wants to remain with you. Because if we can be able to train farmers, okay, fine, let's train farmers to do what they ought to do. We make sure that the quality control systems are put in place, because that's one of the biggest disparity when it comes to quality control. If Brazaris, for example, say, I need a Panadus variety of corn, and you go producing CMS07, the quality is different. They can't use that particular variety to produce what they call the beer and so on and so forth. So it's definitely going to be rejected. Nestle, for example, uses cassava for the adhesive content in milk. And if Nestle say we need this particular quality of white cassava, and you bring yellow cassava, the quality is different. But the input, the sacrifice, the finance you've put in is the same, but the quality is different. So we need to be able to train farmers, first of all, on quality issues. Secondly, environmental issues, which is one of my greatest concerns when it comes to sustainability. Because the Southwest, for example, many don't see it, but they suffer a lot of water table contamination. And that's because farmers don't know how to apply fertilizer, when to apply fertilizer, or the quantities of fertilizer application. So when we're talking about environmental issues, these are the things we need to train farmers on. So if we want to integrate farmers, let's integrate them throughout the process, and then I believe that there's going to be a fair deal.
so whose responsibility is it to train farmers?
The responsibility is varied. We have The government owes a responsibility to train its farmers because, first of all, they are the breadwinners. They are the people who actually put the food on the table for the entire economy and beyond. And also, given the fact that Cameroon is basically an informal sector, where over 70% are like inclined indirectly or directly to agriculture, so it's the government's responsibility to have as a strategic plan to train its farmers. Now, let's look at the level of a client who buys, cocoa buyers, for example. I love what Telka Cocoa is doing. Like I said, she takes it as a responsibility to train her farmers through the Cargill projects that are going up round through the southwest and maybe the ones in the Yaoundé region, the center region and beyond. So these responsibilities are varied, but there is no responsibility without a reason. So your reason should justify your responsibility. If you need quality products, like somebody will want to work with farmers, then you need to put that responsibility to make sure that you get that out. You won't just come to do charity. So,
Thank you. So where does technology come in?
Technology has a very vital role to play. I think in the Farmers Open Season, I met with William Elong, and we decided that we were going to use agribees to see how we can be able to use the drone technology to see how farmers can be able to do infrared testing of when crops arrive, how pesticides are tested, or when to spray, when to. So it was a good project we did with that partnership, and he sent us his friend from agribees, and they were well represented in Boya for the Farmers Open Season. I really say I love what he did, and there's a lot of need of technology to be integrated in every process for seamlessness and also for accountability. When it comes to farming, there's a lot of accountability needed. There's a project we did with Union Farms of Africa, I think that was back in 2018, and it talked about the accountability level of farmers in the farming process. You know, it's easy for you. We can take a random walk in the Southwest region, for example. We move around and say, okay, fine. We have 100 farmers, and inside 100 farmers, we ask those like 80 farmers, what was your cost of production for last season? No one knows. You ask them, okay, fine. What quantity of produce do you produce? No one knows. We are still basically into subsistence, and we cannot grow like that. We understand that the niche, our scenarios, our situations, our environment makes us this way. But if we have to grow, we have to think different. Yeah. And that is what we say farmers need a keen attention for growth and development for this nation to occur.
More with Mfontoh Blaise Abenyi Show after the break. If you're just joining us today on the Shirlma Show, we've been in the presence of Mfontoh Blaise Abenyi Show. There's something I read on your website. I have to read it out. Permit me. We watch our economic minds drown in business with a much higher rate than that of profitable ventures. It ought to be their fight, some may say, but we at Think Fast BC unanimously make it our fight. A fight to build an economically vibrant and a buoyant economy. A fight to transform agricultural landscapes from subsistence to second generation. A fight to make Africa stand tall while working together with similar visions inclined for the growth of Africa. I love it. Tell us a little bit about Think Fast BC.
That's a quite jam-packed vision statement included in one statement. And Think Fast is all a vision. It's not Blaise. I think it's bigger than me, and we've not started. We've not gone 1% of what we have to do. Because I learned from someone, when you have to set up a vision, you need to make sure the foundation of that vision is deeply rooted to carry from the first to the third and fourth generation. So right now, we are still on the foundation. And Think First BC is a agribusiness development firm. We've done a lot of pivoting over the years, and we've gotten into procurement and supplies and consultancy, and with our partners, Empire Media Group, and also Key Group in Ontario, Canada, we've been able to do a lot in media communication and strategic management. So it's a vision which is growing over the years, but one thing I'm focused and keen about where Think First direction is going to is in building the foundation. You know, it's easy to build up.
Yeah.
If you've actually gone through a housing project, when you set the foundation, the walls, it's easy to put up the walls.
Mm-hmm.
The next stage of the house that you need to focus energy is at the level of the decking. So all of these are foundations. Where something sits upon needs to be very strong. And my focus is that we should be very strong in the foundations of the visions we're still building. So it's years and counting, and I can say we're still at the level of the foundation, and we are going to get Cameroon benefit from what we're building.
That's beautiful. So I noticed that, right, as you rightly said, you keep fine-tuning. So what is the kind of like the strategy or the criteria of deciding that, okay, maybe I should keep this aside or pursue this when it comes to your list of services?
Yeah, you know, it's simply like what we're talking backstage. There's a difference between education, information, and strategic information. Education tells you how to do something and do it well with a minimal error margin. Information tells you what kind of decisions you make. But strategic information, on the other hand, actually gives you the direction and the exact point where you should hit. I'll give you examples. I didn't want to give a third example, but I'll give that third example because it's quite revealing. Education. Gravity. We study gravity in school. So if you jump, you know you must fall.
Goes up, comes down.
Exactly. So now let's go to information. Information is, for example, shirlma, they're selling red oil down at Carrefour, or granite oil down at Carrefour market, because we're talking about the increase in price of granite oil. Granite oil down at Carrefour market. The question is, you don't know the price. You don't know whether you're going to meet the line. There are so many parameters that you do not know. So you're working or taking a decision to go to Carrefour market based on bare information. Now, strategic information, on the other hand, is this, for example. In, let's say, less than 1 to 2 years from now, Bobby Market will be transferred because SADP is beside Bobby Market and it's a high-risk zone. And where are they going to be transferred from? They're going to be transferred along the stretch of probably Picker 14 right up to Picker 20. Now, that's highly strategic information. And now, furthermore, how do you know how strategic this information is? Ano is moving to the area. China Mall has moved to Picker 14. Right now, you have China Mall and they're working day and night at Picker 14. Banks, BJFI is going towards that area, and so many other institutions are moving towards that area. Now, it's a way for you as a business who know that information to say, okay, fine, there's a business opportunity in that area. And you move based on that strategic information. So, how we choose the businesses we work, we do or we engage in is based on the degree or the level of information, so we don't just run along mad.
I like that level of thinking. It's really beautiful.
I
think if all entrepreneurs were thinking like this, then the businesses will really grow and go across generations.
Yeah.
So tell me about the work you do with financial inclusion.
the work we did with financial inclusion, I think this was one of the most exciting part of my life. I joined the founding team of Sky Labas. By then, it was headed by Ayuk Eta. And we did a lot of work. It was a young company with so much team. If you had 1 minute lagging behind, somebody's going to tap you on your back, say, hey man, you're not doing something right. Oh, let me take this for you if you're tired.
Wow.
We had a young, vibrant team. And then we were still in the university. I think Ole Ita was in level 300 or level 400. And the rest of us were still university year 1, year 2, and so on and so forth. But we managed to do something in Boya, which I believe was a trademark for every one of us in that company at the time. So we work with MIFOS, the microfinance inclusion platform, where we could be able to use the open source software to come out with Smart Finance. It was a product we were selling at that time as students. Smart Finance had to, the essence, the goal of Smart Finance was to manage financial transactions of microfinances. So we went, I remember the first time I went to Kumba Cooperative Union, I met the manager and told him that we have Smart Finance. He asked, how can kids manage the finances of parents? So it was a challenging journey, but I believe it birthed something within each and every one of us. You know, when you knock doors, we're so persistent at what we do, and we always had what I love to always call code sprints. You know, it's difficult for you to see people who work with such passion now. I don't think I see that. And with that, we used to work day in, day out to be able to bring out the product. And we brought out a product that was workable. And even if we do not sell to as many clients as we were perceiving we could sell to, we did something which was magical. And MIFOS, the international platform, was so they were impressed at what young people in Africa could do. And we were one of the lone startups in Africa, in West Africa especially, who work with MIFOS on that platform. Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So why Christian entrepreneur? So anyway, this is actually what I read on your LinkedIn, right? So I saw like Christian entrepreneur.
A lot of people ask me that. See, the first time I wrote it, somebody wrote me, I think from Uganda, he's having a vision to build. So Ghana, he wants to build, a friend of mine wants to build Ghana's ASPs. He said, Blaise, if you're putting this thing, you lost business. I say. You know, it's difficult to live boldly. And the greatest way you can be able to live boldly is to be able to understand your identity. And I'm not that kind of person that I'll hide my identity. My identity and my roots is in Christ. And I cannot see I'll hide that identity. I'll tell you a story, and you know, many people always want to see, give the good parts about abroad, but I'll tell you mine, which was the bad part. I was at Nanyang University one day. I got the letters. I was really like depressed. So Singapore is one of the most expensive nations in the world. And that night I just said, I want to go to Marina Bay Sands. I didn't think of what I wore. I just took a shirt, I put on a shirt, put on a trouser, and I went to Marina Bay Sands. And what I wanted to do at Marina Bay Sands, I just wanted to sit in front of that water, the dancing waters, and just reflect about my life. And when I got there, I took 30 Singaporean dollars, and I took a Grab, because there by then, I don't know what it is now, but then we used Grab. So I took a Grab, and as we are about approaching Marina Bay Sands, I saw on the taxi driver, by then Trump and the president of North Korea were in Singapore and Sentosa, so the traffic was crazy. And when traffic is that crazy, your price keeps going high, no matter where the price stops. So I saw I was only clicking the $30 mark, which I had in my hand, without even getting to Marina Bay Sands, but I was very far from Nanyang. So I decided to step out of the car. I stepped out of the car. I didn't think of the fact that I don't have money to go back. So I sat at the train station, I was just observing and so on and so forth, thinking about life, thinking about the problems and everything. And During that, I have to go back. I realized I didn't have money to go back. Macu is a very long distance back. So I stood. It's like I asked for money around people in the train station that please can I have $5 Singaporean even for a train ticket? Everybody was like, no. So I went and sat on that chair at the crosswalk, and one woman walked up to me and asked me, are you a Christian? So out of the blues, I was, how will somebody just ask you if you're a Christian?
Uh-huh.
And she said, I read something on your shirt. So that's when I noticed the shirt I wore. Before leaving from Cameroon, I had a friend, Genevieve. She sold me 2 shirts, and it's written, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. So I looked, I saw, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. So that's when she asked me, so I engaged, I said, yes, I am. She said, wow, that's great, I really love the that's still on the water. So what are you doing here? I said, I just came here, I was short of transport to go back because I didn't know how much I had to pay. She gave me 30 Singaporean dollars, and then she walked me down the train station and asked me that if I need anything, here's a contact, let me call her. It may be a normal scenario for anybody, but I was helped because I could be able to be identified. From that day I said I won't hide my identity, because if I hide my identity, I hide my help. So I put Christian entrepreneur.
Wow. I think when you're talking about identity, I kind of like, it takes me to your Facebook page. Because when I went to your Facebook page, I tell you my experience on your page, okay? So I'm actually scrolling down your page, and I lost focus. Very soon I see this Facebook message on my own, like somebody writes to me, and I'm kind of like, I'm confused. I'm confused because I actually thought I was on your website. Like, then I'm like, so then how can somebody be writing me, like, through Facebook, then while I'm on your website? Then it took me back, and I went back and I realized that, oh no, you're actually on his Facebook page. The way it's organized, the way it's structured, I can imagine the number of deals that you actually get from that. So was that a conscious move? Because, to be honest, I think every entrepreneur should visit your Facebook page. I really do recommend that. It's classy. It's beautiful. If I see your Facebook page, I'll give you the contract. I'm telling you. So, yeah.
It's not anything that was premeditated. I actually halted a little bit of social media communication for a while, and I'm just getting that compliment now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well deserved. So then what will you advise maybe young guys on the way they actually present themselves on social media?
The first thing I would like to say is that I wouldn't like for anything to say this was a formula to do.
Yeah.
I always advise everybody to trust your process. You communicate based on your process. And the process is one thing that a lot of people have not really looked into. If you have a vision, you must be tested, tried and proven. It's not people who will test you. It's the process that will test you. How steadfast are you to that vision? If I have to tell any entrepreneur out there that this is what I have to advise you, no matter how little the advice is going to be, it's going to be to trust your process.
Wow.
Because the process is what molds you. The process is what makes you. And if you're true to your process, by the time you're living out of it, you're going to be the most remarkable thing you've ever seen.
More with Mfontoh Blaise Abenui Shoe after the break. If you're just joining joining us today on the Shirlma Show. We've been in the company of Mfontoh Blaise Shu. Okay. So I think one of the things that you guys really focus on is the impact of everything that you do on the environment. So why is that really pertinent to you?
I think not to talk like the French, climate change is an issue, though not bigger, the biggest of issues we have. The biggest of issues we have is us, as the people that are dwelling on the surface of the earth. Okay. And I would like to talk about like what I was saying, the fertilizer application process. Cameroon, for example, has a lot when it comes to water table contamination, based on the kind of fertilizers we use. And we use a lot of chemical fertilizers that goes deep down to the water table, contaminates our water table, and it has long-term effects. And those are key points we're trying to raise during the Young Farmers Conference, during the Cameroon All Farmers Conference, and during the Union Farms Conference that we've been having over the years. And we want to talk again about sustainably executing what we have on the table. Okay. I would like to quote Douala as a very, very good example. You know, the world is made up of approximately 1% of freshwater sources. We see all this water, it's not drinkable water. Douala has a lot of boreholes, and that hits into our aquifers. And it drains our aquifers. Over the years, we're going to see that we're going to the level of Cape Town. Remember 4 years back when Cape Town was saying countdown to be zero, where there's going to be no water in the entire city. We have the sole responsibility, being as entrepreneurs or being as people living on the face of the earth, to be able to take care of what we hold dear, which is where we live. I have this mindset, and I don't know whether it's because I was afraid of prison when I was out there or what, but no matter what I eat, if I maybe take a gum or whatsoever, it goes into my, if I don't see a trash, it goes into my bag, or it goes into my pocket, till I see a trash before I can trash it. And it just takes this small efforts, steps, tiny baby steps for us to get there. And this reflects in our work life, it reflects in the way we do things. And I believe if we can be able to take environment seriously in business, we're going to go a long way to see how we can be able to better an economy and a nation.
Wow, that's beautiful. So now, right, startups that are beginning businesses and so on, how can they actually begin to take care of the environment from scratch? Because it always seems like, I know you actually gave an example which is kind of like very simple and all of that. So, but what should startups be doing differently at the very beginning itself to kind of like, let me say, reduce the negative impact that some of the activities might have on our environment?
I think for that it's going to depend on the kind of startups, because the startups that their responsibility or impact to the environment is not as equivalent to another startup. Okay. So there's definitely a variance that we're going to see based on the how they call the implication of the environment of the startup. Like somebody who is probably techie is different from somebody who actually does put up these commodities that have direct impact to the environment. If you're producing and you're performing a service, you guys have different levels of thought or impact to the environment. Mm-hmm. So it's going to always fall back to the level of implication the startup has. That's why on the general terms, I always just go by telling people to always have people, planet, profit in mind. Mm-hmm. Not just doing things because they want to do it, but doing things because they have the respect for the environment, and they have the respect, most importantly, for generations to come.
I wish everybody could think like this. Beautiful. So, just to relax our minds, we have some easy questions here, Tansy. So, we just want you to answer 3. You pick any and read it out, then you answer.
What would you do if air were to be sold? Like I say, we live in a planet which is a system which we don't know how to value the valuable things of life. Air will definitely be sold. In fact, air has been sold. Air has been sold in Beijing, China. today, water is sold at expensive prices. Let's not say expensive, let's say unimaginable. Because no, if you ask the early man that will they sell water one day, he'll tell you that you're really, really bullshitting him. So the time is coming where everything, like air, like, let's leave out air, let's just look at the basic commodities. Everything is going to increase. We are so much going to stress, so much that we won't understand where we stand as an economy. I'm not saying this because I'm mixing words with guessing.
Yeah.
But when you understand that action equals to reaction, you will know what I'm talking about. We have so set policies, we have so set paradigms, and we have so set situations that are going to work against us in the future. Both service and product based. And we are going to the level at which people wish air wasn't so. I was talking, no Cameroonian has for 1 second thought that they are going to be rationing groundnut oil 1 person a day. No. But today we are there. And there is something, there are certain solutions you cannot make when you're deep inside the problem. The first solution to that problem is first of all to identify the root cause of the problem. Because no matter what solution you think, if you've not identified that root cause, there's no way. And our problems in Cameroon is from our root causes. If we can tackle our root causes, we can solve our problems. So if I was to say what I would do if air were to be sold, I won't say I would pray, but I'll quote one quote by Esther Buzero. Necessity is the mother of invention. How will you occupy yourself without a phone, internet, TV, radio, or books? If this question was, if books were a part, it would have been a very easy. But occupying myself without all this is simply easy to occupy myself without social media, because I love a lot of meditation. Okay. And I believe it's from dreams that you really understand who you are and what you can do and what is truly your purpose. Like, a lot of people do not know what they're here for.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when you can understand what you are here for, you can do anything. So if I was without a phone, internet, TV, radio, books, I'll be doing self-discovery.
Wow, beautiful. It's a nice one. Okay.
Okay, let us see. Your partner squanders your children's school fees. Your take. How did the partner, first of all, come to the level of squandering the school fees? Where was I in choosing the right person around the second place?
Okay.
I don't think we can even get to this level. You know, when you're true to yourself, what you attract is what you reflect. I'm one kind of person that I'm very true to myself. So if I attract someone, then it means that it's somebody that reflects me. So before you want to squander your children's school fees, it means that I must have squandered somebody else's children.
Okay, beautiful.
So, one more?
No, thank you. That's so generous of you. Thank you.
I think a lot of you've been enjoying this ride for a very long time. Very, very long time, I must say, Shelly. And no one has ever asked you a question.
Oh,
I actually took reviewed your last 3 sessions or some sessions, and I want to ask you something. Why ethical entrepreneurship? Why do you choose the word ethical entrepreneurship? I see that at your stand, and why ethical entrepreneurship?
Blaise, I'm the host, Blaise.
You know the word power has changed hands. Yeah, power has changed hands today. So why ethical entrepreneurship?
Anyway, to be honest, I think that in like most of the times when we do things, we just do them maybe because it kind of like appears so easy.
Yeah.
But things that actually last long, if you want to actually go to the long term, you really need to be ethical. So I've seen so many situations in my life that there are so many unethical practices which I'm not comfortable with, right? So I really think that if I want to really do anything, if I want to work with people, it should really be something that it's actually at the core. Like ethics should actually be at the core of entrepreneurship, especially, let me see, because we are promoting entrepreneurship. But most of the times when we look at the practices, even the way we actually think of getting the finances, most of the times things are not ethical. You see very dishonest people, you see people who are not objective, you see people who cannot even keep a secret, you see people whose behaviors you cannot even relate with. But now the thing is that if you want to promote, if we're kind of saying that, okay, maybe Africa is the future, right? But now you discover that somebody comes late, like somebody comes late to your occasion, and it's okay, right? It's like, it's just a normal thing. Yeah, we're Africans. It's just a normal thing. Somebody lies to you, it's just okay. Bribery is just okay, right? So if we don't change that, what will happen? Because look at something. Let me give you an example. You want to go and get a contract, right? For instance, like with roads or things like that. You want to go and get a simple contract. You need to pay somebody in the company to actually give you that contract. At the end of the day, how do you execute that contract? And whose money are you using? You're using the people's money. So at the end of the day, the business itself is not sustainable, right? People who are supposed to get jobs because of that business, if that business was sustainable, those people are not. These people are not sustainable. So you have students who are not able to get jobs because of somebody who is sitting there on a seat just with a pen and a paper or
the
some.
job itself wouldn't be sustainable because you go for cheap materials and everything because you're paying money to somebody.
At the end of the day, you see, so I just believe that if we really want to kind of like improve entrepreneurship and encourage entrepreneurship in Africa, we really need to put ethics at the core of everything that we do if we want to last long. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we actually.
That's beautiful to me. You make me think of a kind of fatherly figure I have, Mr. Kun Benjamin. He was one of the first founding people or executives at MTN. I worked with him at Sam and he taught me a lot. And one thing he always says is, an honest man is always going to end well.
Yeah.
No matter the difficulties in the journey, he's always going to end well. And I really appreciate the virtues I got from him. And like I want to say, to be sincere with you is a very difficult thing in practice to do, being ethical, but we can do it. And we cannot do it individually. It's not an individual fight, it's a collective fight. And it's not just one approach, it's a holistic approach. Because there are several barriers that have to be cut for this to happen. From policy, from people, from self-assessment, and above all from everybody being truthful to who they truly are. It's a fight that comes from deep within. That's why I was prompted to ask that question.
Thank you so much. I really like the fact that you said it's actually a very difficult one. Because to be honest, it's really difficult. But in the short term.
Exactly.
In the long term, you discover that ethics is something that is very easy. Because when you start seeing the benefits of ethics in the long term, to be honest, even as a person, I've tried to be ethical. Whenever I try to be that ethical, the stress that I have to go through to be ethical is enormous. But in the long term, the benefits that I actually get from the fact that I was ethical, I really cannot start measuring them.
There are two most underrated words that I always tell people. One is a game, and the second is recommendation. You know, when you're that ethical, like you say, you always do things again and again and again and again and again and again. But that persistence, consistency in doing that, somebody is always watching somewhere.
It is also.
And when that person who is always watching one day understands that your cup is full, the recommendation that comes is going to clarify the gains you've had in life.
I like that assurance.
So
Thank you.
it's a very difficult journey, but I believe that, especially for young people,
Yes.
setting the pace in everything, we should be ethical. And not just ethical from the mouth, but ethical from the heart. So,
Thank you. So now, Blaise, how can people get to you? I know somebody's like, oh my God, can I have him as a mentor? So, but anyway, how can people get to you? Maybe either to get your services at Think Fast Basic, or maybe...
you can always reach out to Think Fast, or let's say Mantra Media, or any other of our, because we're doing so many things that we're running now, and you can always get to us not through our portals. You can always leave a message, and we're always going to get back to you.
Thank you so much. It was indeed an honor to have you today on our platform. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the house today with us, we were honored to be in the presence of Mfontoh Blaise Shu, the managing director and founder of Think Fast BC. Thank you for always being with us on the Shirlma Show. We are here because you're there. Please do not forget to comment, like, and share our videos. Thank you.